Hey, this is Caleb with DSLR Video Shooter, and today we are talking about NAB 2015 and my top picks. This was a great year for NAB. We saw a lot of cool stuff, so I want to go through a lot of things that I saw and was interested in. These are things that I either thought were just cool or innovative, or things that I'm kind of interested in and looking to potentially purchase down the road. As you're watching, definitely check out DSLRvideoshooter.com. Underneath this video on this post, you'll see links to everything that I'm talking about and prices and all that good stuff, so you'll want to be over there. Now let's go ahead and jump in. And first up, we're going to talk about Blackmagic Design. And they had a couple things that I was really interested in and keen on, and the first was the new Ursa Mini. This camera really piqued my interest for a couple reasons. The original Ursa was just nothing I was interested in. It's a massive camera, really designed for 2 to 3 people or operators, and it's bulky, has some drawbacks, but the Ursa Mini is a much smaller camera, a lot more usable as a single camera operator, and I love the ergonomics. I'm so excited that somebody finally created a camera that just makes sense. At least it looks like it makes sense. We'll have to wait till people get their hands on it and we get to actually play with them. But the size of the screen, the shoulder pad, which does move forward and back, so it's actually positioned close to the right place. Really, ideally, you want it right underneath the lens mount, so it's pretty close. And the top handle is fantastic. I also love that it has a EVF system that you can purchase with it, and that the EVF is actually designed to fit your face. It's not off on the back on the top handle. It's actually in the correct position, so you can use a shoulder mounted system, and the EVF on the camera is usable, which is really exciting. This camera is a 4.6K camera sporting 15 stops of dynamic range, or at least that's what Blackmagic is telling us. And the price will start at just under $3,000, so that's really cool. Next was the Blackmagic Micro Cinema camera. This is kind of similar to the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema, except that has no screen, it's even smaller, and it's mainly designed for people who are going to be doing aerial shooting and whatnot. So tiny, tiny body. It does have HDMI out, so you could run that to an external recorder or a wireless transmitter, whatever you wanted to do. But it's really designed to be used on support systems that don't need, an operator monitor right there. The Micro Cinema camera is a 16mm sensor, shoots raw, and has 13 stops of dynamic range, according to Blackmagic. It also has a Micro Four Thirds mount and is set to be sold at just under $1,000. And of course, Blackmagic didn't stop there. They came out with a monitor, or at least announced a monitor, that they're calling the Video Assist. Now, what's cool about this monitor is not only can you use it to monitor your footage, but it is also a recorder. Now, it's not a 4K recorder, it's a 1080p recorder, but it has a lot of cool features that it can record, and that is 10-bit, 422, and it does do a down-res from 4K. Now, this is exciting to me because most of us still aren't distributing in 4K. A lot of us shoot 4K and then downscale to 1080. So I'm really excited about using this device with something like a GH4, and I can get 10-bit, 422, and take that 4K image and downscale it into a ProRes file, which is awesome. I can go straight to editing. I don't have to do downscale and render. I don't have to transcode. I can just sit down and edit. The other cool thing is that the monitor uses SD cards to capture media instead of solid state disks. So most of us already have a lot of these cards, and most of them will probably work with this device. So that's pretty amazing. I really am excited about this Video Assist monitor from Blackmagic, and the price is just under $500, which is just ridiculous for a recorder. So looking forward to seeing how that performs, and hopefully I can get my hands on one. Next up are gimbals. There were 3 gimbals that really caught my eye at the show. First was the new Ronin M. So this is a smaller version of the Ronin gimbal. So it looks very promising, and the price is ridiculous. It's under $1,400, so it's really affordable by DJI standards. Defy also had a lot of great gimbals, and you definitely want to check out their website to see what they have in their new offerings. And then the most innovative, really awesome gimbal that I saw was the Helix Junior from Lettuce Direct. So this is really interesting because it's designed a little different. Instead of a tube system, it actually has a flat base that you can set on a table, and you can even kind of bump it and it won't tip backward or forward. And the other cool thing, instead of having a top handle and 2 side handles, you only have 2 side handles. And one is free spinning, so it won't operate the actual gimbal. The other one does operate the gimbal, and you can switch seamlessly from, kind of a standard system to a suitcase system. And it's very light, it holds a ton of weight, even though it's the junior model of the more expensive Helix. And you guys know I love leather handles, and that has leather handles, which is pretty awesome. So definitely check that out. Next up was SmallHD's 502 monitor, which can also double as what they're calling the side finder, which is a EVF system. And what's really interesting is, first of all, this monitor is 5 inches, but it's about the size of an iPhone with a big case on it. So really small. It's really designed for those of us who are using on top of the camera or just off the camera, and you don't want a ton of weight. And the Sidewinder is just awesome. So the way it works is you have the LCD instead of in front of it, you have it off to the side, and then the side finder comes off of that. And what's really cool is you mount everything on the actual side finder. So when you're looking through it, you can look away and then pull and open up the monitor itself, which is really, really slick. And the UI on this monitor is ridiculous. Definitely cool stuff from SmallHD. Next, I swung over to the wooden camera booth. Love those guys. And I was really excited to see their new monitor arm system. So they have 2 things they came out with, the NATO Lock and the NATO Lock Magic Arm. What's cool about this is it takes things like ball mounts and monitor arms and puts a safety lock system in a much more robust locking system. So a lot of that stuff, you put a monitor on, you bump it, and it starts to unscrew on the camera or on the monitor, and then it moves around. So this is a beast of a monitor arm, has rosettes, and then there's actually a NATO rail on the top. So you can put these little NATO rail clamps on all your devices like monitors, EVFs, lights, whatever you wanted to. And then you can easily snap these things on, take them off, no screwing, none of that crap. Moving right along, I swung over to the Aperture booth and checked out their new DEC system, which is a wireless controller / handle for your camera. And what's really interesting is it's a 2-part system. You have a adapter that goes onto your camera, and this works for Sony E-mount cameras as well as Micro Four Thirds sensor cameras. And you slap this puppy on, then you can put Canon lenses and other lenses onto the adapter, and then on the remote you can stop and start the camera. You can also use a little rocker to focus, and it's really, really smooth. Trust me, it's insanely smooth compared to other electronic devices. You could also change the aperture. There's a little wheel just like you would have in your DSLR, and then there's also a digital readout. So it's a very powerful tool, lots of information on their website, and it's gonna be interesting to see how this is used by filmmakers, because it's kind of the missing piece for a true shoulder rig system when it comes to these smaller mirrorless cameras. You guys know I love the Wally-Mx Pro cages and gear, and I went over to their booth and they have some really exciting stuff. So if you use their gear or are thinking about their gear, you definitely want to pay attention to this next little bit. First, they came out with a new cage. So this is a more expandable, larger cage, which is really exciting. Lots of stuff you can build onto this. But they also have, obviously, their older Aptaris cage, which I have and love, and you can actually get extension bars for it, so I could use it on something like a C100, which is really cool. But a big problem with these cages is that they wouldn't mount with every single tripod. So they have a quick release built into the bottom that works with Manfrotto tripods, but it didn't work with absolutely every version. So they came out with a little plate you can attach to that and put on any quick release plate, which is really exciting. And I can't wait to actually use this because it'll really open up the doors for any tripod system, which is really, really exciting stuff. I've been using Benro tripods for a while, so I swung over to the Benro booth, and they're kind of simplifying their line and adding a new system, which I'm really excited about. Previously, they had several different tripod systems and lines for different quick release plates. Now they're getting rid of everything but the Manfrotto standard plate. The other thing is they added a BV line, which still uses those Manfrotto plates, but they're beefier and better systems. So instead of the S line, like the S6, the S8, we have the BV6, the BV8, the BV10, and I'm really hoping I can get my hands on these. These have friction control, they have counterbalance control, great tripods, super solid, and can't wait to play with them. And finally, I went over to the Westcott booth, and I've been helping Jem Schofield from the C47 do some of his workshops, and was really excited to play with these new flex lights. And this is something that's just amazing. And you know, at first I thought, of the concept is kind of gimmicky. Like, yes, you can use it in a lot of places, but it's still LED, and LEDs just don't have the punch that a lot of Fresnel lights and other lighting systems have. But these little suckers put out a ton of light. So they make a 10 by 10, which they have now. They will be releasing longer versions as well as a big 2 by 2. And that 2 by 2, the output is ridiculous. It makes my two Alzo 3000s, look like child's play or an iPhone light. So great stuff. You can do so much with these things. You can, mount them in millions of different ways. You can stick them in your car. You can roll them up, stick them in a China ball. They have a really flexible, and when you form them, they stay in that form. So there's just a ton of possibilities with these guys. So definitely check them out. Westcott, great stuff. They're also going to be coming out with a book lighting system. Really cool stuff from Westcott, and can't wait to see all this stuff get released. So that does it for this video and NAB 2015. It was so awesome to meet those of you who stopped me on the show floor, and I was able to do a couple giveaways on the show, which is really fun, and I'm hoping to do that again in a larger scale next year. So if you see me next year, definitely stop me. I'd love to talk to you. So thank you so much for watching and supporting the show. I'll see you in the next video.